Hi, I'm going to talk to you today at Criminology at the University of Bristol. Now, Criminology is based within the School for Policy Studies and we are based in the Faculty for Social Sciences and Law. The unique thing about Criminology being based within the School for Policy Studies is that we work closely with our sister undergraduate programs, Social Policy and Childhood Studies, which means that we get to bring on the strength of the research expertise across the school, and that influences our criminology program as much as we have our own independent criminology focus. Now, within the School for Policy Studies, we of course also don't just seek to think about the debates within criminology, but we also seek to think about how they have a real impact in terms of policy and practice as well. So we consider ourselves one of the unique criminology programmes within the UK. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit more specifically about criminology at Bristol as we go into this presentation. Before we go any further, I just want to introduce myself. My name is Dr. Jo Large. I'm a senior lecturer in criminology at Bristol, and I'm also the programme director for criminology. So I have responsibility for the undergraduate criminology programmes. We're a team of criminologists with expertise in different areas, which I'll come on to a bit later on. We offer a number of degree programmes with criminology as the core focus. So we have our single honours criminology degree, but we also offer a pathway with study abroad. So that's exactly the same as the 3-year criminology degree, but with a year abroad in the middle. I suppose one point to make at the moment is obviously we're in a situation where things are relatively unknown at the moment, but we do hope that the study abroad programme will be able to go ahead in future years. Criminology with quantitative research methods is another specialism. So this is where you spend 2/3 of time studying criminology, and also will specialise in quantitative research method skills, which is a really, really sought after skill, particularly as we become more and more reliant on data, and particularly big data coming from developments in technology. You could also extend that to a 4-year programme and graduate with a master's level degree from that. We also operate a BSc Social Policy with Criminology. Now that is where you spend 2/3 of your time studying social policy and 1/3 of your time studying criminology. So there's an array of different options in terms of studying criminology with us at Bristol. So welcome along to this presentation. Thank you very much for taking the time to explore criminology at Bristol. I'm going to keep it quite short today. We are going to keep it to a maximum 10 minutes, and I'm going to focus on 3 areas of things I'd like to talk about. So first of all, one of the main questions we get asked at open days and by prospective students is, what can I do with a criminology degree? And so I'm going to talk very briefly at the start about the kind of things criminology graduates tend to go into. I'm then going to talk a little bit more about what is criminology, and I'm going to specifically then talk about what is criminology like at Bristol and why you should think about studying criminology at Bristol and what we offer as part of our criminology programme. So welcome along, and there'll be some details later on, but please do get in touch on our virtual Q&A today if you have any questions or if you would like some more information. So first of all, one of the questions we get asked most commonly is, what can I do with a criminology degree? Now, criminology has a real advantage as a degree programme in the sense that it's a core social science programme. So as well as learning about crime and criminology, you'll also get broad general training in critical thinking and problem solving and analytical research and evidence-based skills. So already the transferable skills which you get from the degree, you'll see can apply for many, many different areas. And so we see many graduates actually going on to a profession which you might not associate with a criminology degree at the start. And that's because they have skills which are useful and desirable from employers. So communication skills, analytical skills, and research and evidence. So research methods and research training is a key aspect of a social science programme. So wherever those skills are useful, we might see graduates going into, and that's the circle with things like marketing, management, banking, HR, housing, community work, where the kind of those analytical skills might be useful. We also see lots of graduates going into roles which you might more traditionally associate with the criminal justice system and with crime. So whether that's working within the criminal justice system, such as going on to train further to be within the police or probation, victim support, perhaps within various aspects of the criminal justice system more generally, or security services, Crown Prosecution Service, Ministry of Justice, etc. And of course, then there's a whole range of organisations which sit further around these things as well, local government, refugee support. But what's interesting to note is that we know that 50% of graduate vacancies don't actually specify a particular degree. What matters is the quality of the degree you get. So it really does leave options open for students when they graduate, as well as giving them some specialist skills and knowledge. So what is criminology? Well, this is actually one of the biggest problems we have within criminology is how do we define it? It's something which we actually look at quite at length and in depth within the first year of the criminology programme. What do we actually mean by crime? How do we define it? What seems like a really common sense and simple assumption can actually become quite difficult to pin down. How do we respond to crime? So if we know someone has committed a crime, what do we then do? And why might we do that in that way? How do we explain why crime happens? Is crime increasing? Is crime decreasing? What kind of things might affect those questions? But underpinning criminology is very much an interdisciplinary and a multidisciplinary approach to the study. So this slide highlights really some of the different subjects which influence criminological thinking. Sociology is one of the key areas which has been highly influential. Criminology stems from the sociology of deviance. Of course, law is an important aspect as well. Something is only a crime when it is legally defined as a crime. Psychology, in terms of understanding humans and human behaviour and interactions. Social policy is really key, understanding how various aspects of social policy, including crime policy and criminal justice policy, impact on crime, victimisation and harm. And obviously within a School for Policy Studies with a very strong social policy programme, that really does influence through our degree. Political science, international relations, economics, and also, as I mentioned at the start, childhood and youth studies. So we have particular expertise within the school of people who work within the youth justice system, around family courts, and issues which are specifically related to young people. So why study criminology at Bristol? Criminology is a huge and burgeoning subject across universities within the UK. And at Bristol, we pride ourselves on doing all of the things you would expect from a usual criminology degree, but actually we've chosen to go a bit beyond the traditional focus, which is on crime and criminal justice. And we also take a more critical approach, arguing that we need to think about activities that are harmful, but they might not necessarily be criminal. So this is not to say that we shouldn't look at crime, we shouldn't look at acts which are criminal, but we should also think about things which are not necessarily considered or perceived to be criminal. Things like poverty, social exclusion, inequalities, deaths on the road, winter deaths of elderly people, migrant drownings, global warming, animal extinction, stress at work, health and safety deaths, and looking at these kinds of issues and considering them from a criminological perspective. So we term this as studies of social harm, and it's a really, really strong thread right from the start of our criminology programme, and it's influenced heavily within the school and the various different expertise which come to the table within the criminology degree. But also we recognise the importance of policy. So what is the role of government policy and professionals in promoting a harm-free as well as a crime-free society? So we've decided to have 3 core themes which underpin our criminology programme: from justice to social justice, from crime to harm, and from local to global. And that's what we keep within mind with all of our units in our programme. So what will you study if you decide to come to Bristol? Well, as I mentioned, these are kind of the core areas which fill up a degree. So understanding the causes of crime. Why does crime happen? So looking at theories and explanations of criminal behaviour. Thinking about how the law impacts on crime as well. How do we respond to crime, whether that's criminal justice responses or social responses more generally? How do we deal with offenders? How do we deal with victims? And as I said just a previous moment ago, the impact of harm and what do we think about harm? What do we mean by harm? Why is it important to include a study of harm within the programme? So these core ideas underpin our criminology degree, and our criminology programme is broken down into different units. Now, I'm not going to go into the detail of the different units and structures here today, but you are more than welcome to please have a browse of the Bristol programme catalogue. If you browse for BSc Criminology, here you can find out the detail of the structures of the degree programmes as well as the different option choices available to you. And the range of options which we have are developed based on staff research expertise, so you can have a look through them and see the kinds of things which are there. But essentially it comes down to expertise, particularly in areas around policing, youth justice, prisons, drugs policy, counterfeit, organised crime, social harm, law, globalisation, environmental issues, violence against women, migrants. Please do explore the School for Policy Study research centres to get a really good understanding of the kind of expertise we have. You'll typically learn by a mixture of online and offline learning. So we will have an element of readings, lectures, seminars, podcasts, discussion boards, and a range of assessments to support those methods as well. We have a good range of study spaces across the university, a very well-resourced library, and also we pride ourselves on opportunity for one-on-one support for students as well. A really key important feature of our programme is personal tutoring. So every student, when they start with us, gets allocated a personal tutor who will remain their tutor for 3 years, and there's very much a pastoral and developmental role associated with the tutor. We encourage the student to get to know their tutor as well as having formal meetings, and that way we can identify any issues or any concerns and support students in the best way possible. Listening and communicating, so we work really hard to engage with our students. We care about what is going on in student experience. So we have a student rep system where we meet with the student reps, we have formal meetings with reps, more informal meetings, we evaluate our teaching, and we encourage a strong community cohort identity for our students. We also care about encouraging professionalism and employment opportunities, and of course we have an international and global community, and Bristol is just a fantastic and vibrant place to live. As I mentioned at the start, we offer a 4-year criminology with study abroad programme. It's really well responded to by our students. Hannah, one of our current criminology study abroad students, has had an amazing time in Australia. You can check out on the study abroad pages on the university website the different countries we have available. We also offer a work placement unit to our second years, which they can choose to take, and then they can work with a local organisation to get some real world work experience as well as getting credits for the unit. So Samir, again, has given some feedback on actually just how valuable that experience has been. So I'm aware that was a very quick roundup of what we offer at Bristol for criminology. Please do explore the further information available to you, and please do ask questions via our virtual Q&A today. I've only been very briefly able to talk to you about what we offer in terms of our programme and our expertise, but please do have a look at the website. You can find out more information about entry requirements, but also the research centres and specialisms of staff, and a bit more about our individual units and the criminology programme. We also, if you decide to apply to us, invite all criminology applicants to a visit day in the spring, so normally around March or April. And at this, we give you the opportunity to meet some of our existing criminology students, have a chat to them, meet the criminology teaching team, and also to have a go at listening to a taster session and taking part in a criminology session, and also, of course, to see our campus. So thank you so much for listening today, and I'll be available on the Q&A, so please do let us know if you have any questions. Thank you and take care.